Well, hello there. So I'm going to show you how to do a bag in my Dreamy Days Stitch. And this is it right here. It is a really, really easy and pretty stitch. You can see what it looks like this way too. And what it looks like inside, nice and smooth. Okay, so the yarn I'm using, and I can tell you one of the yarns, what I did was I put together two different yarns, okay, and they're both number 3 or number 4, sorry, and they made a nice bulky for me to use. And one of them was Noro Ito, and it was in the color number 4, and the other one was a Kagiaki, a Noro Kagiaki, but I don't have the color anymore. But what you do when you do this is you pick two yarns that have a long color run or even a short color run. It doesn't matter, but they have different color runs. So what happens then is the two different colors are running. So here I got a blue with a black. Here I got an orange with some pink, and then it started into green and then started into pink. But it gives you this kind of look like this. And I needed a thicker yarn for the bag I was going to make. So I am on a Cindy Wood 3/4 inch 24 pegs. Okay, and it's giving me this size, which would carry it would actually carry a small pocket book, or maybe a iPad, or whatever you want, and you can make, of course, this bag bigger or smaller. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the video of how I cast on and did the first couple rows, and then we can go into the stitch and I'll show you how to do the stitch. Let's see, have I showed you everything? Oh yeah, these yarns are both 100% wool, and the loom hook I'm using is an ergonomically comfortable loom hook I got from We Have a Handle on This. They're not making them right now, but they will be soon again, and this one is very similar to ones on Etsy. Okay, so I will bring you over to the video of how to cast on, and then we will show you the stitch. So I'm going to show you how to start this piece, and I'm going to show you the cast on and the first few rows before we start into the pattern. The yarn I'm using for this is Atlantis, Estelle Atlantis, and the color is Gleam, and it's a combination of yellows and creams and light taupe and copper and bronze and lots of those colors in it, and it's a bulky, and it's I guess it's pretty close to Charisma width to give you an idea of how big a bulky it is. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is a chain cast on. So what I do is I just make a slip knot, and any way you make a slip knot's fine. It just goes on the first peg like that, and we take the loom hook, put it inside the loop, and pick up a yarn, and so that we have a loop of yarn here. I'm just going to keep this tight over here, and then I'm going to come over behind the next peg, put the working yarn through, and snug it up. Behind, working yarn through, snug it up. Behind, whoop, behind, and we caught 2 pegs, snug it up. Behind, snug it up, and we just do that all the way around the loom. And that's a chain cast on. It's one of the crochet cast-ons. Works really good. You can use a crochet hook to do this if you want. I find it a lot easier just to do with my hands, but if you're in a very tiny gauge loom, you might really need a hook to get your fingers in between the pegs. This cast on can be used on any size of loom with the appropriate yarn for that gauge. I use this cast on with most of my pieces because I like the look of it. I do use other ones from time to time just because I think they go nicer with the work, but this one is nice. You don't have to worry about tightening any loops. It has a really nice appearance. And I just kind of do this weird thing when I do it because that helps me to get the right tension. But you can do it in one smooth motion too. Just the way I like to do the chain cast on. Get some more yarn out of here. Okay. Whoop, caught this in it. There we go. And then I just plop it on the last peg. And then you notice there's a space here. You could also pop it on there, but I find it makes this really thick here. So what I've started doing is just ending right here when I do this cast on, and then just knit it off. And then we're just going to come over here and knit this to secure it. And then what I do, because there's only one piece of yarn coming here and it's thicker in here, is I take this loop that I had left and put it over here, and then I just knit it over. And that makes it blend in better. At least that's what I think. And also this is partially secured already, so it will stay tighter and not loosen up on you now, which sometimes happens. Okay, so what we're going to do with this stitch, and I've already done one knit stitch here, is we're just going to do a row of U-knit. So a row of U-knit right after the cast on. This completes the cast on part of it. And a U-knit is just over the peg like that and knit it off. If you're doing this pattern, I'd be pretty sure you already know how to U-knit, but just in case. And it gives you one of the, well, the real knit stitches really, since E-wrap is a twisted knit and it's the same as knitting through the back loop and needle knitting. But these all give you the V stitch, which is the knit stitch. And this yarn has lots of nice color changes. I really like it. Oh, it's 50% wool and 50% acrylic. So really nice to work with, unless you're one of those people that's allergic to wool. But if you're not, it's beautiful to work with. It just glides on. And we must almost be back there. If it's yeah, we're almost back there. I was going to pause it if it was still a long ways, and I will do that on some of these rows just because it's going to really take up a lot of length in the video. Okay. Oop. This is loose because it's this one right here. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is a row of purl. So Just go down, pull a loop up and do that. I'll do it slower, but you should know how to purl. So we're just going to put this in just like the same way when we cast on. We came in through here. Now we're going to take this loop and pull it up just like we did with the cast on, except we're going to take everything off here and then just put the loop back on. You just put it right over like that. And that's all there is to a purl. So we're just going to purl all the way around. Just want to have a good, strong, non-curling base. And of course, when we cast off, we're going to do the same thing. Do the same rows we did here so it matches. Okay, I'm going to put it on pause while I go around and do the purl. Okay, so I completed my row of purl. Okay, now that you've done the cast on in the first couple rows, we go into the first stitch. So there's peg 1. So the first stitch is owl eye. So to do that, you go over the peg 1, and knit it off. This is how we're going to get started. Okay, now whatever peg you're on, it's always peg 1. You go in front and over peg 1 and 2, knit them off, keeping it nice and loose. You're on peg 1, come over 1 and 2, and knit it off, keeping this nice and loose. Okay, you're on peg 1, go over peg 1 and 2, knit them off, nice and loose. You're on peg 1, go over peg 1 and 2, knit it off, and you're just going to do that all the way around the loom. So just keep going until we get to the last peg. We'll catch up and we'll do stitch 2. So see you in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm just ending the row. I've just knit that one and this one. Come back over, and instead of going over here to finish owl eye, I'm going to end here. So 2 stitches on the last peg. And then we're going to do the next stitch. So this is peg 1, and the next stitch is roses and chains. So to do that stitch, you go over in front, knit it off, little tight because I've got so many pieces of yarn here. Come back over in a U-wrap going that way, and then come back in a U-wrap going this way. So each peg gets 3 wraps, okay? So you come in front in a U-wrap, and then backwards in a U-wrap, and then in front in a U-wrap, and then in front in a U-wrap, back in a U-wrap, in front in a U-wrap, in front in a U-wrap, behind, or back I mean, and then in front again. So it's pretty easy, okay? Just this way, in a U-wrap, oops, lost my yarn there. Then this way in a U-wrap, and then this way in a U-wrap. Okay, so we're just going to do that all the way around the loom, and we'll catch up. So see you in a bit again. Okay, I'm about to do the last stitch in the row. And try to keep it loose so it doesn't get too tight. And then we're ready to start row 1 again, which is a row of owl eye. So you just keep doing these 2 stitches and keep going. So to do owl eye, you go over peg 1, knit it off, come back over and go around 1 and 2. That's how you start the row. And then come over 1 and 2. Okay, and you just keep going. And so keep going until you get it long enough. And I'm almost long enough here, so I'm going to take you to the bind off, and then we can look at the bag and put on the closures we're going to put on. So I will see you after that. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and we're going to do a very stretchy bind off so that we can get it looking like it does at the beginning of the piece. So I went around the loom with the yarn 2.5 times. You can go up to 3 if you'd like, and then I cut it. So that's how much yarn I have to do this with. You can always use extra yarn because you can always cut it off, but I found I never go over the 2.5 times around. Okay, and so then we just get a good needle, and I've got a nice short needle with a great big eye here. I like this needle. And then we get the yarn through it. You can also use a loom hook, but I find a needle a lot easier. Okay, so we're just going to make sure our stitch here is tight, and this is where we're starting. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going up the stitch that we just came from, and then we're going to tighten that, and then we're going to go behind it, and we're going to go down the next stitch and just pull the yarn through. Make sure you're on this side of the loop, or else you'll be pulling it through the loop, and you don't want that. Okay? Okay. And then what I'm going to do is go up this one once more. Because this is just my starting place. And then I'm going to go behind this one, and I'm going to go down the new peg. And this is the pattern all the way now. We're just going to go down the new peg, pull it through, and tighten it, and go up the old peg. It gets easier once the yarn gets shorter. Okay, and then we're going to go behind the peg that was the new peg. A little bit awkward here for me. Okay, so we went behind this peg, and we're going to go down the new peg. Pull it tight. And up the old peg. Okay, so we're going to go behind, and that's the peg that was new last time, and then we're going to go down the new peg, whoop, and up the old peg. And behind and down the new peg. Now, if you have a yarn that frays really easy, and this process frays it while you're doing this, then that's okay. You can cut that off, secure it with a knot and weave it in later, and then you can just add a new yarn and go. You can tie it on to the end that you cut off if it's not too badly frayed, and then sew it all in later. But however you'd like to do that, that's a way to do it if you're fraying. This yarn doesn't fray, so I'm using a nice long yarn. But just a tip, because sometimes you'll get a yarn that will not like the process of binding off. I seem to be tangled here in my wire. Okay, we got it off now. Okay, so here we are. So if you have to stop in the process, you look at where you are and you see the yarns coming out of here. So that means that was the last one you worked. So you're going to go behind and go down the new peg. And up the old peg. Okay, and behind and down. And up. Okay, so I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit and then we can catch up. Okay, so I've got, I'm almost to the end here, and this is a lot shorter now. Okay, so here I am, and I'm going behind the peg, and I'm going down. Okay, now it's much easier down, and up, and behind, tightening it, down, up, and behind, down, up, behind. So it's not really hard to do, except this one, because I have a little bit of a knot there that developed. Okay, and then up, and behind, down, and up. And behind, and down, there you go, and up, and behind, and down, and up, and behind, and down. Like, there we go, because I'm at the end. So basically now I've connected every peg. They're all connected. So I'm just going to leave this here to actually do a knot, or I could do a knot right now, because it's important to do a knot to secure it. I sometimes do it at the end, but I'm just going to do it now. So we're just going to do a whoop, there, a knot. There we go. And then I will be weaving in that end. turning it in so you don't see the knot and weaving it in after. But now we can take the needle off and we can take our loom hook again, and then we can just start taking off the pegs. And we just take them off all the way around the loom. Some of them will be tighter. I find if I go the opposite way, it's looser and easier to take it off. So I'll go back the way that I had just come. Well, this looks like kind of funny big loops right now, but okay, so there we go. We just take the loom off now. And so then what we want to do is we want to stretch it. I go all the way around, stretching it. Well, hello. So once the bag is bound off, then we're going to sew together the bottom. And I've got these two bags here that I've sewed the bottom, the one in the video and another one, just to show you that it works on any size, although one is a different stitch. Okay, so now that you've done the bottom, I'm going to take you to a video in case you don't know how to sew together the bottom, or you want to look at how I put it together. I'm going to take you to a video on how to sew together that I did for a different project, and just how you would attach when you want to put them together. And then I'll take you a video showing how I'm going to finish it off with a clasp at the top so that can close up the bag. So we'll just do that, take you to that video, and then I'll show you how to close the bag. And make sure that you've got it nice and straight there. And then we're just going to sew it. So I'm going to come in at the very bottom here. And I have a knot in the end of this, so I'm going to come in and do that. And then all you're going to do, although you can sew this any way you like, is I'm just going to come in this side here. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to the very end over here. And I'm actually going to make sure that there, it's nice and tight. And then you've come in here, so you're going to look for the next little loop. And if you look at the side here, you're going to see that under where the end is, there's always, see where the end attaches, you have some holes. So all you're going to do is take this and go down into the next hole, and you'll see two loops there, which is the edge. I'm picking those up. And I'm going to come over to this other side, and I'm going to go into where I came out of, just right there. And then I'm going to go down from where I came out of on this side. I'm going to go down the next hole, and you'll see that there's, yarn is so thick, but there's two loops there. I'm going to pick that up. And I'm going to go back over to where I came out on the other side. And then on this other side, I'm going to go over to the next place. Make sure I get it. There we go. 2 loops, and then I'm going to go back up, last place I came out of, and then I'm going to go down the next place. So you can see them here, 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 okay? And I'm going to go down the next one, and then back over where I came out of last time, and down the next one over. And then back up where I came out of, and down the next one. Back where I came out of, and down the next one. And back where I came out of, and down the next one. That's all you do, all the way down. Okay, and right now, just I'm going to actually pull this snug. You don't have to do it till you want to do it, but I like to leave knots all the way down because I don't want this to come undone, so I'm just going to do a knot. And I'm just going to do that sporadically as I go down. So you're just going to keep going, and if you want to look at what it looks like, it's just going to be all nice and attached here. Okay, so finish, and when we get close to the edge here, we will catch up. Okay, and then when you get up to the end here, you can take out your clip and make sure you attach it really good right here. And you can look to make sure it's attached really well, and tie some good knots in it. Make sure I get the absolute edge here. There. And then tie a good knot. Okay, and then you're just going to weave the ends in. Just weave it in enough to keep it secure, and you can, it's a bag, so if you want to, you can tie more knots in it. And then when you've got it all secured, you can just... Okay, so here I am, and I've sewed a button. And I did it on both bags, and then I did the clasp on this bag. And then the clasp just comes over like that, and then the bag has a closure. Okay, very easy. So you can just use any button, sew it on with thread. And you put it higher or lower. I put it nice and high so there'd be lots of room in the bag for something that they put in. Okay, so I'll just show you how to do the clasp and add it to this one, and you'll know how to put the clasp on over the button. So I'll just get set up for that, and we'll do that. Okay, so all we do now is we make a slip knot, and we put it on a peg, on one peg. And I've got a piece of yarn here. And then what we do is take this, I just hold it tight, and we're just going to go over it in a U-wrap and knit it off. There we go. And then I'm just going to tighten it, do another U-wrap, knit it off, tighten, another U-wrap, knit it off, tighten, and once you get longer you won't have to hold on to that anymore. And I'm just keeping it nice and tight because I want to have a nice tight clasp. And then you just keep doing your U-wrap. It's actually that easy. Now if I'd done it over here, I could have put it under this clip to hold this nice and tight, but on the black peg you wouldn't have seen what I was doing well, so I decided to do it this way so that you could see. And so I just keep doing it until I get to the end, leaving just a little bit here. And I think I can get one more in. And there, and then I just take it, slip it off the peg, put the yarn through the hole here to knot it and secure it. I didn't leave a very big piece to do that, did I? There we go. So then I'll just do it now that I made it a little bit bigger, put it through in a knot, and then we have a clasp. And so then we take the bag and we put the clasp around it because we want to make sure that it's always going to close it. And then I just attach it to this other side with a needle and sew it in on both sides. Okay, so I'm just going to get a needle. So I've got the needle threaded, and I'm just going to go directly inside here and find a thick enough stitch to put it through. And I'm just going to pull this through, and then I'm going to attach it right beside, and then it will come down and it will close the bag. So then all you have to do, put it back on here, is weave it in and maybe tie a knot with it when you're done, but just weave it in far enough. And then the same with this one. I'm going to put it on. I usually knot it just to make sure that this clasp will stay secure. Get that threaded. And then same thing, I'm just going to put it beside this one through another loop. And then I'll do the same thing. Is just sew it in, weave it through and do a knot, and then I'll have a loop here and I would just go across like this. And it will hold the bag closed. And I have this one already done here with the loop. So the loop just goes on, closes it, and we're all good. And so that's what the bag looks like when you're done. And you can put anything you want in them. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, bye.